Hello, all you beautiful people. Nice to see everybody this evening. Hope you guys are all staying safe. Hope none of you have got the coofs yet. I've just been, I just went out for a walk, and went to the grocery store. You know, the supply chains seem to have corrected themselves. They're still out of certain things, but there's like toilet paper now. There's a bunch of other stuff now that there wasn't before, so things don't look that bad, actually. So I'm gonna go through this until we finish Combat Evolved, and then once Combat Evolved is done,
Join channel all. Join
we'll
channel
go
voice all.
to,
Left channel voice squad.
It's really annoying. We'll go to Bioshock 2. So let me know if the audio balance is okay, if the stream's coming through okay. Oh yeah, I was gonna... Right, okay, you know what? People wanted me to turn this up to heroic. I'm gonna turn this up
Join
to
channel
heroic.
voice squad. Left channel all.
Really
Left channel voice all.
I don't know how to disable that. If anyone knows how to disable that, please let me know. Because it's really annoying. Let's see here. Missions. I want to play heroic. Grunt headshots lead to glory. What? Grunts die in a blaze of glory and plasma. Oh, that's cool. They put all this stuff in. That's neat. That's really cool that they added all that stuff in. Anyways, okay. I'm going to try this on heroic. There's going to be a lot of just random crap. I'm going to probably be swearing a fair amount. I mean, heroic isn't super hard, but...
Join channel all. Join
people
channel
wanted
voice all.
fail.
Left channel voice squad.
It just automatically does that for some reason when you launch the Master Chief collection. It's really obnoxious, and I wish they didn't have it. Okay. Oh, I have to redo this level? Oh, well, whatever. That's annoying. No, for some reason, like they think this game is like supposed to be played in terms of a
Once we get inside the ship, I should be able to lock
completely
on
lost
to
my
the
train of
tracking
thought there.
signal
I'm
from
sorry.
Captain Key's neural
Oops.
implants.
Fuck. That was a boom.
Hit 'em, Marines! Go, go, go! The Corps ain't paying us by the hour!
Stick to the higher ground to the right. We should be able to recon the Covenant position
We get
without being
paid?
spotted.
They get paid?
I've detected Covenant stationary guns near the next pass. I recommend using your sniper rifle to take out the gunners while I call for
So
Marine support.
if we want some like Boomer's Edge stuff and meet, well, no, actually, Boomer's Edge only refers to if I'm doing.
Don't open fire until you hear the enemy return fire on us. That should let us keep the element of surprise.
I hate those turrets. I hate them so much.
Let 'em have it!
I think it only counts as Boomer's Edge if I'm failing at platformers. If I'm failing at like just normal parts of the game, I think
Alert.
that's just
A Covenant
failing
is
at the
making
game.
a run for that stationary
Let me
gun.
know if
Take
the
them out.
audio balance is okay. Yeah, this is definitely a lot harder. I'm getting my ass kicked. I'm kind of looking forward to ODST. Although I've heard bad things about... Well, actually, I've heard some people like ODST, some people don't. I think I've heard more bad than good about it. Wow. Yeah, this is way harder.
Hit 'em, Marines! Go, go,
Okay,
go!
that was
Corps ain't
partially
paying us
just
by
me
the
being
hour.
retarded, so
Stick to the
I'll
higher
do better
ground to the
this
right.
time.
We should be able
This
to
game's
recon
gonna
the
take a
Covenant
lot
position
longer
without
on
being
heroic
spotted.
than it is
I've
on
detected Covenant stationary
normal.
guns near the next pass. I recommend using your sniper rifle to take out the gunners while I call for Marine support.
Get ready to move in to support us, Sergeant. The Master Chief is going to covertly take out as many of the Covenant as he can. Don't open fire until you hear the enemy
Wow,
return
elites
fire
take a
on us.
lot of
That should let us keep the element of
shots in
surprise.
this. Oh well, this isn't a very long game. So I think I'll do BioShock 2 next. And then after BioShock 2, maybe we'll see when Halo 2 comes out. Because I haven't played these games in a long time, so I kind of want to do Halo 2 when that gets released.
Alert! A Covenant is making a run for that stationary gun. Take him out.
Let him have it!
Oh shit. Okay, that was... Oops. That was really bad collision detection there. Okay, that worked. Did anybody catch Serp finished Turok? He got stuck on a part. There was a level where he had to fly through a cavern full of like these crystal things that were one-hit kills. And even though he had invincibility on and unlimited ammo, it didn't make the game any easier. So he wound up just using a code to skip levels. I think he just skipped to the end and beat the last boss. I forget if he used invincibility to beat the last boss. But like he was having trouble beating the game even without unlimited ammo. Even with unlimited ammo turned on, he was still having a lot of trouble. I'll see if I leave it on heroic. I'm kind of not enjoying it. You know, I'm gonna put it back to normal. I'm not enjoying it on heroic.
Join channel voice squad.
That's really annoying.
Left channel all. Left channel voice all.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just not enjoying it.
Join channel all.
I'm kind of weird.
Join channel voice all.
Fuck, that's so annoying.
Left channel voice squad.
Let me just... I don't think there's a way to turn it off. At least I've never found a way. And I like went all the way through Halo Reach and I couldn't figure out how to disable
The
it.
enemy has captured Captain
Okay.
Keys and are holding him aboard one of their
Unskippable
cruisers, the Truth
cutscenes.
and Reconciliation.
If I became
The ship is
Pope, I
currently
would ban
in position
unskippable
approximately
cutscenes by
300 meters
papal
above the
fiat.
other end of this plateau.
So how do we get inside the ship if it's in the air?
I think, like, I used to like difficulty more in video games, but what broke me was, the Ringed City. I just, like,
Once we get
hated
inside
the
the
Ringed
ship,
City
we should be
so
able to
much,
lock
and I
onto
got
the
so
tracking system
frustrated.
with Captain Key's neural
It
imaging.
just ruined, just the idea of difficulty in video games for me. And I've just never really liked it since then. Let's see. Nope, you can't turn it. You're not allowed to turn it off.
Hit 'em, Marines! Go, go, go! The Corps ain't paying us by the hour!
Stick to the higher ground to the right. We should be able to recon the Covenant position without being spotted. I've detected Covenant stationary guns near the next pass. I recommend using your sniper rifle to take out the gunners while I call for Marine support.
Get ready to move in to support us, Sergeant. The Master Chief is going to covertly take out as many of the Covenant as he can. Don't open fire until you hear the enemy return fire on us. That should let us keep the element of surprise.
Let 'em have it!
Yeah, sorry everyone for not playing it on... No, actually, I'm not sorry. To quote
A
the
Covenant
former
is making a
premier
run
of
for
this
that
province,
stationary
sorry,
gun.
not
Take him out.
sorry. I played most of Bioshock that part. There was just a part I got stuck on. I forget if it was Apollo Square or what part it was. Actually, you know what? I'm going to change melee. Where I got stuck, I only had, let's see, where's melee? There we go. Where I had no money and no medikits, and I just kind of was like, fuck it, I turned it down to normal at that point. There we go, that works better.
Get on it! Hey, I've been saving a little present for you!
That's always a question people ask. Do Spartans get paid? It's an interesting question. Actually, it's better as F. Because I don't even know if they're legally, if Spartans are legally people, at least Spartan 2s. Because I don't know if they technically might not exist, because they were kidnapped as children. I don't remember, maybe someone can say in the chat, it's been a long time since I've read the fall. Did they swap the children with, like, another child? Or did they fake the death of the children they kidnapped? Or were they just, reported as missing? So I'm not sure if the Spartan 2s are even legally used, like, legal persons, or if they're just property of the UNSC. Oh, oops.
Get it, Marines! Go, go, go! The Corps ain't paying us by the hour!
Stick to the higher ground to the right. We should be able to recon the Covenant position without being spotted. I've detected Covenant stationary guns near
Not
the
that
next
not that
I
John
recommend
really
using a
needs
sniper
money.
rifle to take out the gunners while I call for Marine support.
I don't really know,
Get ready
like,
to move in
what
to support us, Sergeant.
he would spend
Master
money
Chief
on.
is going to covertly
I don't know what
take
any
out
of the
as many
Spartans would
Covenant
even
as he
spend
can.
money on.
Don't open fire until you hear the enemy return fire on us. That should let us keep the element of surprise.
Like, I wonder, like, they can't really, I don't think they're really gonna retire. Okay, Robert Field says they swapped the kidnapped child with a clone that dies shortly after. They swapped the children with, clones. Okay, concealing the Oni project. Oni's such a cool name for the Office of Naval Intelligence. So I was thinking about it. Ultimately, I think I do support the UNSC. I don't know how much like autonomy the various colonies and nations have within the UNSC. Like how much there are still separate cultures and like separate religions and separate ethnicities and stuff like that. But I think it is kind of necessary to have an overarching military government for no other reason than just military matters. Because as the Covenant Wars showed, what the hell? That was a fail. That was a massive
Get it, Marines!
fail.
Go, go, go! The Corps ain't paying us by the hour!
Stick to the higher ground to the right. We should be able to recon the Covenant position without being spotted.
But yeah, so I think like you need to have the one world government, or I guess one galactic government for humanity. From my understanding, over the Covenant, Human Covenant War, I don't know if junta is the right way to describe it, but there was a military government for the duration of the war. And then after the war, the UNSC actually
Covenant is making a run for that stationary gun. Take him out.
The UNSC actually gave back authority to the civilian government. So I don't really think you could. Can you call it a junta if it's like I don't know if you'd call, like, for instance, Pinochet's regime a junta, because Pinochet like legally held power. I forget if it was the Supreme Court or the Parliament who asked him to restore order when like the country was degenerating into like a civil war. So, like, his coup was, I think, legal, actually. So, it's an interesting question. People are talking, Robert's talking about the Nazi Germany.
Motion tracker shows
My big issue with Nazi Germany is how many Christians they killed. Like, how many Poles they killed. Also, they raped France. Like, France experienced, like, a minor famine during the time period because the Germans took all these. I don't know if it was a famine, but there was widespread hunger. Fuck! Wow, I'm sucky today. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Really bad. The, as far as genocide goes, I'm not gonna say that they were right with what they did to the gypsies, but I understand. I understand where they were going from. Nobody likes gypsies. Like, even the people I met, like, I knew back in, like, high school who were, socialists, like, they were basically commies, they hated gypsies. They thought the gypsies were, like, trash. I mean, they were Hungarians, but nobody likes them. Even, like, shitlibs don't like gypsies. The only shitlibs I've met who like gypsies are those who have never had to deal with them. Like, why do gypsies have leprosy? Leprosy, like, isn't even... Like, leprosy is, I think, very easily treatable. But either they, like, deliberately don't get leprosy treatments so it's easier for them to beg, or they just think that, like, modern medicine is evil or something like that. I don't know. Nobody fucking likes gypsies. Like, I can't think of any group of people, maybe abos, who have contributed... No, but abos haven't done as much damage. I can't think of any group of people who's contributed less to humanity than gypsies. Like, people talk about the Jews, but, like, Jews have, like... I know people, like to meme about Jewish entertainment, but Jews have done, like, a lot in terms of, like, revolutionizing entertainment, just in terms of, like, film technology, film techniques, mathematics, physics, engineering, sciences, all that kind of stuff. Jews have invented a lot of different stuff. Yeah, like, I remember in Chile, I think Allende had started, was, like, arming the masses to try to, he was gonna, like, try to take power and something, like, plasma power or something. Allende has kind of a cargo cult. It's kind of a funny, I think Ramsey Paul first started using the term for, like, random figures liberals just, like, latch onto but don't really know anything about. Like, what was the other one? I'm trying to remember what the other one was. Fuck. The irony is, from my understanding, the closest surviving people to the original Indo-Europeans are Slavs. Specifically, I think Ukrainians and Belarusians. Like, culturally and biologically, I think they're the closest to the original Indo-Europeans. I'm not sure if they linguistically are. Somebody who knows a little bit more about linguistics can maybe tell me if it was more, if Slavic languages are closer, or if Baltic languages are closer. Because I think those are the two closest to like original Indo-Europeanism. Original Indo-European of existent languages. I could be completely wrong. But yeah, regarding World War II, I tend to be of the opinion, there's a YouTuber named Tick. I'm not sure if any of you have ever seen him, but he does mainly videos about the Eastern Front and kind of lesser known aspects of World War II. Something that he... No, Basque is not related to Indo-European. It's a completely different language family. Here's a trivia question. What countries in Europe don't speak an Indo-European language as their mother tongue? I think... I'm trying to remember which... just give me a second. Okay, so write what the... in the chat, what European countries don't speak Indo-European languages as their... primary language. I think there's... Let me just count them in my head. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think 5. Yeah, okay. Okay, yep, you guys got 3 of them. I'm going to count Basque Country, even though it's its own country. There's one country that nobody gets. That's technically part of Europe. It's in the EU, but no one ever really thinks about it. Yeah, you've got all but one of them. Malta's the other one that doesn't. Malta speaks a Semitic language. Interestingly. Georgia speaks a Indo-European language, I think.
More over here!
What the fuck is it with these turrets? This needs to be a fucking meme. These goddamn turrets. It's Malta. I forget sometimes that there's a chat delay.
Enemy in sight! Crap! Those stationary guns are gonna tear us to pieces!
Okay, I have to stop pulling a DSP and looking at the chat.
Contact! Enemy in sight!
Malta gets to be part of Europe because of how many Islamic invasions they've... No, Armenian is a Iranian language, I think. Armenian language. I think it's Indo-Iranian. 1 second. Sorry, everybody. It's closely related to Indo-Iranian, which became Persian and Sanskrit. That's the problem. Like, I'm not trying to make excuses, but you sometimes do worse when you're streaming just because you're also looking at the chat at the same time. It's a bit easier when you're playing like an RTS or something, but if you're playing an action game, it's a bit harder. So, kind of what happened in World War II with Britain is a lot of people, I think Britain was stupid to stay in the war. Like, Britain should have just left. But the fear that Britain had was that if they left the war, then Germany would be able to buy oil from Mexico or Venezuela or some other neutral country. And if they were able to do that, then Germany would basically be unstoppable. They'd be able to build up the Luftwaffe. Because keep in mind, the Battle of Britain was actually pretty close. Some people say, oh, thank you, River Run. Ever notice that Millennial Woes looks like a healthier version of Spoonie? I'm going to say yes, but people get angry when I talk about Millennial Woes, and I haven't watched... If he's done videos, I haven't watched them in a long time now that he's not on YouTube anymore, so... Maltese women, I think, are also cute keys. The pictures I've seen are relevant. But yeah, so if they had have let up, well, yeah, the Battle of Britain, I think, from my understanding, was a lot closer than people kind of think. What wound up happening was they switched over to terror bombing, which is strategically worthless. If they had have kept attacking airstrips and radar and factories, the British might have had to sue for peace and just lost any attempt of at aerial superiority. But yeah, when they switched to terror bombing, it gave the RAF a big chance to kind of rebuild. But yeah, if Britain had have gone to a negotiated peace, Germany could have dramatically increased the Luftwaffe. They also would have had all the resources of continental Europe. So like all the resources of France, Poland, who knows, Spain might have joined the Axis. They could have just imported, like I said, from neutral countries to support all the resource efforts. Who knows, the Germans might have even been able to build like their own, rebuild the high seas fleet and build a fleet big enough to challenge the UK's. What the hell was that? I don't even know how I died there. This game is bugged and unfair. So the British were like, if we leave the war, we're gonna have this war again in a couple years. And the next time we have this war, we're gonna be at a massive disadvantage. So we might as well just stay in as long as possible now. Because eventually, Germany was going to be fucked. Because Germany didn't make enough oil. I don't think the Germans made enough oil to meet civilian, let alone military usage, especially during once Barbarossa started. So like people kind of, it's kind of a meme that Russia won the entire war by themselves, but if Britain hadn't have been blockading Germany, Germany wouldn't have had nearly as bad logistical problems, and they would have been able to, also Germany would have been able to get rubber and all that other stuff. So the war in Russia was far from, I think, as inevitable as people make it out to be. I think Germany came very close. I'm kind of the opinion Germany probably had about a 50-50 chance of winning if Hitler hadn't have been undermined by the German general staff. Because like, he tended to be right. So, like, during the initial advance into Russia, Hitler was like, okay, guys, we're going to go for the Caucasus and Ukraine. And they're like, and they deliberately, like, disobeyed him and went north. And that also happened during Fall Blau, where the target was the Caucasus, specifically Baku and Stalingrad. But Howler, I think, in that case, deliberately disobeyed his orders and started attacking north towards Moscow. I mean, if Moscow had have fallen, it would have been bad for Russia. It would have been a disaster. But Russia could have kept fighting. I mean, it would have, like I said, been devastating. It would have been... Moscow was a central communication hub. But it wouldn't have knocked Russia out of the war. I think if Stalingrad had fallen, that would have basically knocked Russia out of the war. Russia would have continued, but Stalingrad, I think 90% of Russia's oil supply went through, if not Stalingrad, then through the Caucasus. And if they had have taken it out, then the Soviet economy would have basically collapsed. The other kind of goal that that Hitler had in mind was he felt that if they could only hold the Ukraine long enough, Russia would eventually capitulate out of a lack of food. I'm not sure exactly what percentage of Russia's food came from the Ukraine. I'd imagine the vast majority of it. But you had widespread famine in Russia during the later part of the war. Oh shit, hunters. So I think they came very close to collapsing towards the end of the war. Could Germany have done it? Like, would they have lost anyways from the end? Would America... Because I'm not sure... I think America was pretty committed to the fight. So who knows what would have ultimately happened. You might have seen a scenario in which Germany emerges victorious in Europe, but the United States curb stomps Japan, and you have a bipolar world. The UK probably would have remained independent, and you might have had a Cold War or something like that. Now, Stalingrad was actually very important. There's kind of a meme that Stalingrad was a vanity project because it was named after Stalin.
Once we're inside the ship,
But it was where all the oil went through. All the oil to the rest of the Russian army was transported along the Volga through Stalingrad. That might be the funniest part of JoJo is how von Stroheim, or however you pronounce his name, died at the Battle of Stalingrad. I have a friend who said something really funny. He's like, I hate Russia because they genocided QTs, aka the Circassians. I think that's a fair reason for hating Russia.
What? No covenant here. Think maybe nobody's home.
Also, a scenario that I remember I was talking to Surf about this that might have emerged is, you know what happened in, like, China where the Japanese weren't able to decide, like, they weren't able to occupy all of China because of how bad the infrastructure was. And basically, regardless of how many Chinese they killed, and regardless of how many battles that happened, they were unable to decisively win. Or rather, they decisively won a number of times, but there is no reason for the Chinese government to come to a negotiated peace. So the same might have happened in Russia, where the Germans would occupy kind of the European part of the country, but Eastern Russia and, like, I guess kind of the areas that are a bit further away would be, like, in a continual state of revolt. You know what's really funny about, just on the topic of, like, Russians, what's really funny about, Sabaton songs is, whenever I hear them, I'm like, there's no way that this could be based on reality. This is too fantastical. And then whenever I read, like, the actual history behind it, the actual history is normally even crazier. Like, the Attack of the Dead Men is, like, one of the most incredible things in history. So, like, what wound up happening in that case is the Germans had just gas shelled the crap out of a Russian position, and there was only, I think, 100 Russians left versus like 5 or 6 battalions of Germans. And the Germans started to advance, and they were pretty confident that the Russians were beaten. And like, you had all these half-dead Russians who had like skin falling off their faces, and like their limbs were just falling off, and they countercharged. It was kind of like the first zombie apocalypse. It just scared the shit out of the Germans, and they like ran away. And the Russians were able to slight the fortifications and destroy their cannons and retreat in good order. So that was something that was actually like crazier than what was depicted in the song. Something to keep in mind when, with regards to, I guess, like, I think people are unfair to France in World War II. Like, France capitulated after they decisively lost. Like, I think by the time they capitulated, Paris had been overrun. Their army had been completely destroyed. They just fought and lost. The fact that they lost really quickly doesn't really mean that they didn't try to fight. There was realistically, like, nothing else that they could do at that point in time. Also, I think people don't understand the immense sacrifices the French people went to during World War I. Like, if you look at, like, all the battles in World War I, generally speaking, the French took higher casualties. I think France had a smaller population than Germany at that point in time.
The door's locked, sir. I can't bypass it. Can't get through here.
We could use the side passages to find a way around.
We'd be sitting ducks in that narrow space. We can hold this position if you can find
I'm making a list because people occasionally ask about it on
Chief, let's see if we can
I
find
think it's Rate My Music. I'm making a list of like bands and musicians I like. Because people ask me about it. But yeah, like the French were exhausted. Like they lost, I think, more soldiers than the Germans in virtually every battle despite having a smaller population. And they just got completely and totally fucked. The thing about the Vietnam War is, and this is an opinion like Dennis Prager and some other people have, that they had more or less America accomplished its strategic objective with the Paris Accords. The issue was the Democrats blocked Nixon from sending aid, and realistically all they needed to do was send fuel aid and provide air support, and the South Vietnamese forces probably might have been able to hold off. The biggest problem though was when they killed Base DM. DM was a weird dude, but he was realistically like the only person other than maybe, what's his name? Cow B or by Cow? Maybe if someone could post his name in the chat. The last emperor of Indochina. I think he probably could have held things together, or DM could have, but they were like the last two leaders to exercise any like significant political legitimacy over Vietnam. I think, from my understanding, I think the Germans also got very lucky in France, because I think the weather favored them. I had always wondered actually why the French hadn't extended the Maginot Line into across the Belgian border, and there is an actual answer for it beyond just stupidity or arrogance. Doing that would be a acknowledgement that the French government would not defend Belgium in the event of a German invasion, and that might have led Belgium to capitulate faster. And it was just politically necessary. I mean, like, with regards to France, sometimes you just lose. Like, there's a difference between giving up and just getting your ass kicked. Like, Germany got very lucky. The Germans were using a lot of kind of new form of warfare. The French army was kind of behind the times. That kind of thing. Let's see here. For my like, because French tanks were, in terms of combat effectiveness, a lot better than German ones. They just had very poor mobility. Like, they had, I think, in general, better guns and better armament, better armor, but their actual mobility was much, much worse than that of the yeah. I maintain, though, in World War II, I think the country that performed the worst is probably Italy. And the country in World War I that performed the worst was either Italy or Austro-Hungary. I'm going to lean towards Italy because Austro-Hungary actually did against Italy. Like, my understanding is when the Great War was ending, close to the end of it, I think the Austrians had actually broken through on the Italian front and had, like, taken Venice and were making a lot of progress towards just taking out Italy. But they kind of experienced other things. So the more I think about it, I don't think the collapse of Austro-Hungary was necessarily inevitable. If you think about it, there wasn't, to my knowledge, any real internal dissent or separatist movements that took place during World War II. I think there was quite a bit of internal stability, actually. That stuff all really happened once it was clear that they had lost and it kind of devolved into an every man for himself kind of scenario. I think what made the most sense was the triple monarchy, where they had three monarchs, where they would have, because they had the dual monarchy of Hungary and the Austrians and the Germans, and then they were planning on adding the South Slavs in as a third group. So I think that would really work. I don't think a lot of these states in the Balkans are viable. Like, I think Yugoslavia was kind of a necessity, because you have all these like, no disrespect to Montenegrins, but I don't really think Montenegro is viable. It's just very, very small. Like, if you look at, like, the border war that you have in the post-Yugoslav era, and, like, they took all this, like, territory from Serbia that was, like, Serb majority for no reason, and, like, the countries keep dividing up more and more. So... Actually, the interesting thing about the Tet Offensive was the North Vietnamese government, from my understanding, actually considered it to be a great failure. I think the majority of the Viet Cong actually got wiped out during Tet, and they had to switch over to using regular North Vietnamese regulars. I do have a lot of respect, though, for the North Vietnamese in terms of how much will they displayed during the war. Like, America repeatedly blew up, like, just leveled North Vietnam. Like, they just blasted back to the Stone Age, and they just kept going.
go. Whoa.
And I have to respect the national liberty it must have taken to do that, even if I am very anti-communist. I kind of really hate this like narrative people have now that like base communism. Communism wasn't based. There was a couple people like who ran communist countries who were kind of based in some ways. I mean, Stalin was based in some ways, but he was also a mass murdering psychopath whose leadership led to tens of millions of deaths. So, I mean, there was based aspects of Stalin. He was better than Lenin. More people probably would have died under Lenin if Lenin had lived. The reason why Lenin is regarded fondly, in my opinion, is because he died before, like, the full extent of his mission was known. But Lenin was, like... Lenin, like, brought in all this feminist shit, and... I think under Lenin, like, there was a point in time where they, like, outlawed prisons and stuff like that.
Got it. The door is open. Everyone should move through now. I can't guarantee that it won't lock again when it closes.
Like Che Guevara was like the Cuban communists weren't based. The fact that Che Guevara like really hated like people and was racist doesn't change like how shitty Cuba is. Okay, sir, I wasn't trying to attack. It just came up in the conversation. I'm sorry if you feel
You can't hide from me.
we were talking about the Vietnam
I'm
War.
going to call for reinforcements. There's no sense going in with anything less than full strength.
Cortana to Bowhammer. We need additional support troops. We're going to open the shuttle bay door again. Move in and drop off reserve troops on my signal.
I do regard Mao as being the most evil leader in human history. Mao is a fucking, like... Mao is one of, like, the biggest psychopaths I've ever, like, seen. I recommend, there's a book I recommend called, Mao the Untold Story, which is, like... The guy who wrote it just tears him a new one. And it's really funny. And, like, the people who are against it now are, like,
Cortana to Echo 419.
the people who like are against it say it's just like racism. That's the only real argument they have against it. It's just that the author was racist. But it is weird in Eastern Europe now, because like Nazpol isn't just a meme there. Like in Slovakia, the Social Democrats are really, really based. Like really, really based. I think it was Robert Fico who was the head of them, and he was like the guy who altered like the laws in Slovakia to make it harder for Muslims to immigrate. And it's like Slovakia has no mosques and Slovakia wants no mosques. And they're really based in like Moldova, and actually in Romania too. And a lot of those countries, I'd probably vote for them over the, well, no, I'd definitely vote for them over the like supposed center-right parties, the neoliberal pieces of shit. I like Bulgaria's a cool country. Well, Bulgaria's an okay country. They did really well in World War One. But yeah, it was funny. Serp and I were talking yesterday about the whole like coronavirus thing, And we were just talking about like how shitty the US response was to the whole thing. Because, like, literally all they had to do, and all Canada and the US had to do, was just shut down all flights to East Asia and just direct industry towards producing medical supplies and hand sanitizer. Like, that's literally all they had to do. Like, there's no reason to even shut the economy down. If they just had to shut flights from China down, there really wouldn't have been any way for it to get there. So, yeah. Macedonia has a bunch of Slavs LARPing as Macedonian. Macedonian is a Slavic language. Well, I'll give Stalin one thing. He didn't single-handedly lose the Cold War like Khrushchev did. The Sino-Soviet split literally single-handedly lost the Russians the Cold War. While there's aspects of Khrushchev I do respect, on the whole, he was kind of a disaster. And then I think Brezhnev was, like, in a coma for half of his term in office. I haven't really seen what's been happening in Russia. I think Russia like hasn't had too many coronavirus things because they just like sealed their borders. But yeah, they like the Canadian government has been saying for like years we can't control the border, we can't stop illegal immigration, and then they just did like basically overnight.
Keep it up.
Khrushchev alienated. Khrushchev brought in a whole bunch of feminist shit. Like he legalized abortion. Also, he alienated China. Thoughts on British food? British food. When I was in Britain, it just seemed to be basically the same, very similar to American food, but with more meat pies. Is kind of how I describe it. Must be going the wrong way. This game is bugged and unfair. Mao did some like really crazy shit. Like I remember in Mao the Untold Story, I think he said to Khrushchev, if you give us like ICBMs and nukes, we'll nuke the US and take the mass retaliation, and then that way the Soviet Union will survive and inherit the Earth. He also offered to ship tens of thousands of women to America. Thoughts on Ho Chi Minh? I don't really know anything about Ho Chi Minh. Everything I've heard about Deng Xiaoping, though, it tends to be pretty good. He more or less, like, saved China from the disaster that was the Mao years. Can I get actually a review of Fool Killer? I don't know what Fool Killer is. Look, Serp, if you're still here, I feel bad. I wasn't trying to single you out or make fun of you or anything like that. I'm sorry. I actually feel bad. Like, if you took it that way, that was completely unintentional. We just happened to be talking about, actually I'm gonna, just give me a second. Yeah, I'm very easy to gaslight, so... I'm an extremely easy to gaslight person. What was I thinking of again? Yeah, so maybe you'll talk about Halo. So yeah, I really like... this game was really good when it came out. Serp and I were talking earlier about what the best FPS of all time is. He said Doom 1. I said probably this game. That's not to say, like, every other game is bad or anything like that. Because, like, you can say a game is the best of its genre, but still like other games in it. Like, saying something is better than other games in the genre. Saying a game is better doesn't mean other games are worse, in my opinion. If that makes any sense. Like, I really like BioShock. BioShock is completely different to this. It's not the yeah, if that makes sense.
You should know better than this. Thanks. Marines, lock and load your weapons. Let's be ready to move. Okay, yes, sir. While the Covenant had us locked up in here, I overheard the guards talking about this ring world. They call it Halo.
One moment, sir. Accessing the Covenant BattleNet. According to the data in their networks, the ring has some kind of deep religious significance. If I'm analyzing this correctly, they believe that Halo is some kind of weapon, one with vast, unimaginable power.
That's true. The Covenant kept saying that whoever controls Halo controls the fate of the universe.
Now I see.
Why is Cortana so
They
much
intercepted
louder
a
than
number of
Keys?
messages about a Covenant search team scouting for a control room. I thought they were looking for the bridge of a cruiser that I damaged during the battle above the ring. But they must be looking for Halo's control room.
That's bad news. If Halo is a weapon, and the Covenant gain control of it, they'll use it against us and wipe out the entire human race. Chief, Cortana, I have a new mission for you. We need to beat the Covenant to Halo's...
Yeah, how does Keys know what the Covenant are saying? Like, how can he overhear them? Does he speak their language or something like that? That is pretty funny. I never really thought about that before.
We should head back to the shuttle bay and call for evac.
Because I remember when I first played Halo 2, and they made Cortana like super hot, and I had never really thought of her in that way because in Halo 1, her original design was like really, really bad. Like she looked like a little girl or whatever, and like the graphics just on her were just really bad. And when I started playing it, I was like, Chief is a bigger Chad than I thought. No, the Covenant isn't based on the Catholic Church. Well, at least, I mean aspects of it. Like, I guess that, like, a lot of stuff in Halo is, like, a reference to the Bible. Because you have, like, the Flood, which is kind of like the Great Flood. You have the Forerunners, which were kind of antediluvian. I just wanted to say antediluvian because it's an awesome word. You have Master Chief's name, John 117. There's a lot of debate as to which John it is, if it's the Gospel of John, if it's one of the letters, if it's Revelation. There's an arc at one point. You have false prophets. Stuff like that. I'm trying to think. There's a lot more different stuff in it. John. Oh, it's John 117. Kami Catcher, if you could post that in the chat, just so I don't have to, or if someone could just post John's 117 in the chat, just so I don't have to look it up while I'm playing the game. But yeah, the Flood are, yeah, the antediluvian destruction of the world. Antediluvian is like one of my all-time favorite words. It means before the Great Flood. Like in Vampire the Masquerade, the strongest vampires are the ones born before the Great Flood.
Cortana to Echo 419. We have the captain and need extraction on the double.
Just give me 1 sec. Well, I don't think Halo is like based. I think they just took a lot of imagery and a lot of stuff from it. I don't think it's actually based on it. See, the thing with Ano is I don't think he just took imagery, because if you like look at it, like a lot of the stuff he puts in is correctly used. Like the Lance of Longinus makes sense in context of what it is, like historically and religiously. The Lance makes sense. All of the angels are like obscure. Most of them are actually Nephilim. And the names are correct. Like the name, like their depiction and the way they fight them is directly related to what their name means. Like Zeruel is the strong arm of God. Obviously, that's easy to figure out. Material, which is the big spider one, is the angel of rain, and he attacks with like the big dripping acid thing. Then there's also Tabris, or Quaru, is the angel of free will. I'm trying to remember what other ones I can... Sandafon, who I think is the angel from the volcano, is the angel of the unborn. Oh, Wisecracks did a video on it? Yeah. Which is why I really hate the, you all know how much I hate the Great Ancestral Race. And I've complained about it at great length. So I'm not going to go into it here. Someone commented on one of my videos that, because I talked about the angels as Lovecraftian horror, and they're like, but Lovecraftian horror is aliens, and cosmic horror is aliens. It is and it isn't. I mean, I meant more in a hard sci-fi sense. Like, Lovecraft, I don't think counts as being hard sci-fi. But, like, what? It put me all the way back here? What the fuck? But, like, as I've said repeatedly, what happens in End to Evangelion... Okay, I can accept maybe Anno didn't intentionally do it. Maybe God just inspired him. I know that's a weird way of putting it. Or maybe he kind of tapped into something. But what happens with Shinji in End to Evangelion, I think, is too much of a one-to-one comparison of Christ to just be an accident. Because, like, Christ literally took all of our sins and all the evil of humanity into himself. And despite that, he still chose ultimately that we as humans were worth redeeming. That it was worth it to suffer for all of our sins. And kind of likewise, Shinji takes all of the sins of humanity into himself. And experiences all of them, and experiences like the best and worth of humanity. And despite all his torment, he ultimately decides that humanity is worth saving and is worth... humanity does have value. Which I think is just too much of a...
No.
Oh, I can't let keys die. Okay. So, but like the thing is, by me saying that they're Lovecraftian entities, Lovecraftian entities, some of them are just metaphysical. Like, I don't think you can really call like Nycanthotep or like Yog-Sothoth or like Azathoth aliens. They're kind of like metaphysical, somewhat abstract, for lack of a better term, magical beings.
Cortana to Echo 419. We have the captain and need extraction on the double.
Negative, Cortana. I've been engaged by Covenant air patrols, and I'm having a tough time shaking them. You'll be better off finding... Moonride. Sorry.
What was I saying?
Acknowledged, Foehammer. Cortana out.
Yeah, so that's my opinion on
We need to
Ava.
hold here until she can move
Actually,
in.
I've been playing the, there's an Ava mobile game, and I've been playing it. It's actually pretty fun. My only issue with it is it's based on the rebuilds, which I guess is okay, because, I mean, the rebuilds add a lot of content in. But they add, like, Mari in, and they add in, like, some of the other stuff. Like that. What do I think about Razafon? Razafon is garbage. Fuck!
No.
It's a fucking escort mission. You know what? I think Serp said this was why he couldn't beat the whole game on Legendary. He couldn't beat the game on Legendary because of this part, and keys kept dying.
extraction on the double.
Negative, Cortana. I've been engaged by Covenant air patrols, and I'm having a tough time shaking them. You'll be better off finding your own ride. Sorry.
Acknowledged, Foehammer. Cortana out.
Actually, in the Ava mobile game, they do refer to, because they can't just have angels, so they have like generic enemies, and they are called Nephilim.
Cortana, if you and the chief can get us into one of those Covenant dropships, I can fly us out of here.
Yes, Captain. There's a Covenant dropship still docked.
Will I do a Halo 2 live stream? Yeah, I'll do Halo 2 next, after I do Bioshock 2, but Halo 2 hasn't been released yet. I'm playing this on the Master Chief Collection, and Combat Evolved just came out, like a week or two ago. So when Halo 2 comes out, I'll definitely do a playthrough of that. I'm gonna go through, I think, all of them. I don't want to go through Reach, because I already played Reach. But, yeah. Come on, Keys. What's interesting in, Halo... Something that I think some people don't realize is because the Army and Navy have different rank structures, some ranks in one are a lot higher than others. So, like, a captain in the Navy is equivalent to a colonel in the Army. Which is confusing because you also have colonel in the Army. Sorry, you also have captain in the Army, which is much lower than captain in the Navy.
Get on board.
Give me a minute to interface with the ship's controls.
No need. I'll take this bird out myself.
Captain, hunters!
Hang on.
So Keys is just flying a Covenant dropship with, like, he's just flying a Covenant gun. Like, he can just do it. Because he's fucking Keys. And he's just a Chad. Like, that's just what Keys is like. There's other Apocrypha.
The Covenant believe that what they call the silent cartographer is somewhere under this island. The cartographer is a
don't
map
wanna
room
do
that will lead us to
Oracle's
Hero's
Silent.
control center. The island has multiple structures and installations. One of them contains the map room.
We're approaching the LZ.
No, there's other Apocrypha. There's, like, Enoch. There's the Proto-Evangelion of James. There's the Apocalypse of I don't know all of them, but there's a lot of them. There's no such thing as too many channels. So you guys know my friend, I'm just gonna let them kill me so I can finish this. You know my friend, Terillian, he likes to think that civilization is built on a covenant between Chads and virgins. I mean, that's literally, as he put it, what the Middle Ages was. It was like the Virgin Pope, the Chad Emperor. And it was run on the lad's end. Just turning up the music. It's fucking awesome. The one big problem with the Halo theme is it's too badass. So I find what often happens is when it comes on, I just want to, like, run into combat and just beat the shit out of things, and that often leads to me dying. I think Combat Evolved was one of the first games to have a fully orchestral soundtrack. I love this mission. It's a gorgeous level design. Like, I remember when I first saw it, like, these water effects look pretty good for Xbox One era. Textures look pretty good. Oh, right, we have a warthog coming. If you don't mind, well, I'm just gonna... Let me know if the audio balance is okay. I'm gonna put on my favorite version of the Halo theme. So let me know if this is too loud. This is the Halo 2 electric guitar remix.
Okay, let's move out. Let's go find the map that will show us the location of Halo's control center.
Crap. Boomer's Edge. Okay, Marines, get back in. I remember one time I was able to get the warthog in here. No, it's not The problem with this one is I repeatedly died in Halo 2 in this Halo. So I just ran in, like, going with full auto down. I'll keep that around, and next, I'll put that back on at some point. Yeah, the Halo series has, like, great music. I think other series that, like, have the best music, I'd put, Command and Conquer up there for having, like, consistently good music. Like, CNC1 had, like, that amazing, like, industrial hard rock. Then you had, like, the kind of the weird, surreal music in Tiberian Sun. And then, like, as time went on, you just got all kinds of different stuff. like the Red Alert movies, the games had like more hard rock. Like in particular, honestly, Red Alert 3 had really good music. It had some really good like heavy like metal songs, like with electric guitar. You know what? I'm gonna put some more music on. Hopefully this stream won't get taken down. This is how the West was won from CNC, from Red Alert 3. One thing in like retrospect they do like is they took health out. Because health was just kind of like an unnecessary complication. And they just made your shield stronger. See, I'm gonna play. This is the theme of Kane from Command and Conquer. No Mercy. God, I love this song. What the fuck? This looks really good for the time of
We should now have access to the main facility. Let's find the map.
Oh, it's an elite. Back when we were calling the Sangheili elites. Where am I supposed to go? Also, everything in this, like, the Halo games has awesome names. Like, this silent photographer is an
Dropship
awesome
Bravo
name.
22 taking enemy fire. Repeat, we are under heavy fire and are losing altitude.
Understood. We're on our way.
Yeah, of the Indiana Jones movies, I'd say my favorite is probably Last Crusade. Although it's close, because Raiders is really good, so is Last Crusade. They're kind of good in different ways.
Chief, Bravo 22 was bringing us some heavy weapons. After I saw we were up against hunters, I thought you could use them. Let's move down the beach. Keep an eye out for any cargo we can salvage.
Oh, I survived. Cool. Okay, people want Duel the Fates. Okay. Okay, this is the remix of Duel the Fates. That's, I think, that's my favorite edition of it. Let me just bring this up. Oh, right, I don't have Marines. Crap. Am I heading in the right direction? I forget if... Does the Warthog kill hunters if you hit them with it? I don't remember. I actually prefer that, like, the main vehicles don't move up in this game. It didn't happen that often, but sometimes in the later Halo games, like if you needed transportation to go from one spot to another, and it got destroyed, you were fucked. Battle of the Heroes. Well, we'll see if this stream gets taken down. I definitely won't be able to monetize this. Oh yeah, this one. This one's great. I recently, the Toronto Symphony Orchestra had a concert where they did the music of John Williams, and that was pretty cool. I'm gonna leave it off because I really like, this music is really good for the atmosphere. Yeah, I gotta say, I mean, they did a really good job on the new graphics. But I kind of, like, in this case, I think this looks a lot better. It's a lot, like, darker and more alien and creepy, whereas this is just kind of a neon light show. So... I need to come up with another one. You can't call it Boomer's Edge because it's not like platforming. So Boomer's Creed maybe? Or Coomer's Creed. Okay, I'll call it Coomer's Creed. Maybe. I just found Combat Evolved more than just about any other game really gives the feeling of being completely alone. Like just on this random planet in the middle of nowhere. Like at the ass end of the universe. I'm almost out of ammo for the assault rifle. It's a ring world. It's on its way to become a Dyson swarm. I don't know why there are dead Marines there, but I'll take it. Why are there so many goddamn hunters? Shit, I almost died there. Okay, would anyone like me? I might have... Let me just see if I have it. If not, I might obtain it because I don't really want to give them money. Let's see here. Do I have it? No, I don't own it, so I'm not going to pay for it. Maybe I'll obtain it. Would anyone want me to play Mirror's Edge? And just do a rage playthrough? Because Mirror's Edge is the origin of the
Full hammer to ground teams. You've got 2 enemy dropships coming in fast. Damn it. Okay, people, we got company.
like, I don't have any issue with them developing
It'll be easier to hold them off from inside the structure. Can you get inside?
Negative. They're closing in.
I don't have any issue with them, like, developing the Covenant more and giving more of an explanation, because they kind of had to. But just for this game, I liked how you know absolutely nothing about them. They're just this random, like, cult.
Additional reinforcements arrive. Let's find that map.
The assault rifle is my favorite weapon, probably in any Halo game. They kept trying to bring it back, and it kept sucking. It was just never as good as it was in this game. Maybe that's by design. Maybe it's like OP in this game. I'm just gonna let him kill me. I took too much health damage. Yeah, Mirror's Edge is the origin of the Boomer's Edge memes. It's a first-person platforming game. The only first-person platforming I kind of find tolerable is in the Far Cry games. I don't mind the first-person platforming in those games, but in general it is shit. In general it's like complete shit. At least in Far Cry, the game is extremely generous with what counts as, like, reaching a platform. Like, it's pretty easy to pull yourself up. Whereas in some of the other ones, yeah. My favorite level probably... I don't know, it's hard to pick. My two favorite levels in a Halo game are probably the Pillar of Autumn and the Library, where these Sentinels help you out, and there's just wave upon wave of flood. Both of those I really loved. 343 Guilty Spark. I think I'm going in the wrong direction. I'm just not sure where I'm supposed to go. I'm getting kind of lost. Was I supposed to go down there? This game is bugged and unfair. I haven't, like, looked at what's up with DSP lately. I should go and, like, try to get caught up. I just haven't been, like, that interested. There's that, like, sociopath who runs that, like, Odysee clip channel, and I've been watching a lot of that. That seems to have been more interesting. I don't know what, like, kind of asshole would make an entire clip channel just to, like, demean someone, but it is pretty funny, admittedly. Oh, the library level is my favorite level.
There. That hollow panel should activate the map. Analyzing. Halo's control center is located there. That structure appears to be some sort of temple or shrine, if I've interpreted this correctly. Interesting. A shrine is an
Well, the initial gray minimalism, and then they did it like this.
Cortana to Captain Keys.
The captain has dropped out of contact, Cortana. His ship may be out of range or having equipment problems.
Keep trying. Let me know when you've re-established contact, and then tell him that the Master Chief and I have determined the
Pillar of
location
Autumn
the
is
control
awesome.
center. We'll be heading there as
Like
soon
that
as
part
we're
at the end of Pillar of Autumn where you're like in the warthog and you're just trying to get out in time. Yeah, some like sociopath. I like this dude is such a sociopath. I'm just gonna like post a link to it in the chat. Yeah, it's called Davis Arini, the Sigma Supreme. There we go. Don't follow it. It's disgusting that someone would do that to someone as innocent and wonderful as Davis Arini. Someone's asking what Arini's doing. Arini is... I'm not going to start playing. I promised myself I wouldn't do it on this channel anymore. Not that there's another channel where I make fun of Arini. But, he is... Arini is, keeping himself healthy for when he's needed. is literally what he said. Basically, once the plague kills everyone off, he will be approached to run society, and he'll run society then. The frame rate in this is really good. Like, this is like one of the most buttery smooth games. There's no hiccups. I get it, that's an older game. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm gonna break my promise. I apologize to God for doing this. I'm sorry, God. Let me see here.
I want it when I need it. Like, part of the reason I'm isolating myself.
Sorry, this is really quiet. Let me just, if I'm gonna play a couple of these, let me just turn the audio up.
I want it when I need it. Like, part of the reason I'm isolating myself, I'm quarantining myself, the reason I don't want to catch it is because in a couple of weeks' time, I might be needed. Somebody with a cool head, somebody with security experience, somebody that's got a strong back. I could be needed. And so I'm keeping myself healthy for the sake of others. And similar thing, you should be stockpiling, not just for yourself, but so you can take care of your friends, your neighbors, your family, and your church.
And then this was the other one.
Although I'll tell you the good news is it's kind of getting bad here. They actually shut down religious congregations, over 250 people in Alberta. And you know what? For the record, guys, I decided not to go to church today. Just, maintain my quarantine. I'll be here when they need me.
When they need me. I'm the Catholic Batman. Let me see. I'm just gonna like play a. Okay, so this isn't making fun of him. These are just some clips of what of Irini's advice to you all during this time period. Here's some clips.
I'm not really a fan of guys. I prefer supplementation. I prefer eating healthy, living healthy, maintaining. As opposed to using miracle cures, drugs, whatnot. I'm not a fan of using those. I generally try and avoid them.
We got to.
So, like, living healthy. Also, he's decided that Beckloff was employed by the CIA.
Same thing, back when Hadrian and I were trying to set up mutual aid societies, and a bunch of so-called Christian right-wingers did everything they could to undermine us, I strongly suspect glow-in-the-dark Ligers were behind that. I mean, they're all over the bloody place these days. And if not actual glow-in-the-dark Ligers, then there's just a lot of angry, disaffected loser men out there right now. The sort of guys that wouldn't qualify for military service and do have to worry about Corona Chan. So, please, Corona Chan, cleanse the earth. Get rid of TikTok videos, Corona Chan.
So, according to him, Beckloff was paid off by the CIA to make fun of him. Anyways, I promised I wouldn't make fun of Arena on this channel anymore. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Not that this isn't awesome. This isn't the best remix of anything. You know what we need here? If we're going to be having an action scene, we need this. LOL and playing both at the same time. Did I just say LOL out loud? Damn it, I'm out of ammo. I'm not sure if, like, glow-in-the-dark Ligers is a reference to the CIA or to Jews. It could be either one, I'm not really sure, to be honest. I mean, this isn't, like, a bad, like, version. I don't think it's very good, though. Just trying to remember how to get up there. This place is gonna be nice. Okay, so someone was saying it's weird how there's so much classical music. To me, I call it neoclassical. I feel like soundtrack music and video game music is basically like the new classical music. If you want to, like, I don't really want to play it 'cause it's so bad. The new classical music they make is like the worst shit I've ever heard in my life. What is generally considered to be like newer classical music is they deliberately try to make it atonal or like unusually, like just unusual, and it's not possible for like a human to make music as bad as modern classical. So Surf tells me he was just mean. It's okay, I'm just really easy to gaslight. Oh, I still have 2 rockets left. Okay, cool.
Cortana to Echo 419. The Chief and I are topside, requesting pickup.
Roger. On my way.
Oh, okay, cool, a pelican. Is this the end of the level?
get moving. Bowhammer, here are coordinates and a flight plan I've worked up.
Cortana, these coordinates are underground.
The Covenant did a thorough seismic scan, and my analysis shows that Halo is honeycombed with deep tunnels, which circle the whole ring.
I hope your analysis is on the money, Cortana. This Pelican won't turn on a dime.
Look on the bright side, Bowhammer. The last thing the Covenant will expect is an aerial insertion from underground.
It doesn't make sense, but it's awesome, and that's all that matters. I do like the Pelican designs. I think they eventually put guns on them. Maybe the reason they don't have side gunners is because it needs to be a sorry, I completely lost my train of thought there. Because it needs to be sealed against space, and that would make it too difficult.
This is as far as I can go.
Roger that. We'll be able to find our way to the control center from here.
Good luck. Bowhammer out.
Just drop him by himself. Thanks for the reinforcement. I don't need some John. I like what John said. He's like, I didn't survive because I was the strongest or the smartest or the fastest Spartan. I survived because I'm the luckiest. Maybe God, well, his name suggests it, but maybe God gave, like, John, like, divine protection so he can deal with these fucking, heretics. Well, no, they aren't even heretics, they're just heathens. It's not like the Covenant religion is, like, a perversion of Christianity. It's just them worshipping some fucking... They're like... No, because we know who the Forerunners are. So, maybe if someone can tell me in the chat, so were the Forerunners originally going to be humans? And that was going to be the big twist? But then they, like, retconned it for Halo 4? And the Forerunners are their own race?
Interesting. The weather patterns here seem natural, not artificial. I wonder if the ring's environment systems are malfunctioning. The designers wanted the installation to have inclement weather.
This is Fire Team Zulu requesting immediate assistance from any UNSC forces. Does anyone copy? Over.
I didn't think there were any human forces left on this part of the
Cortana to Fire Team Zulu. I read you. Fire Team Zulu, this is Cortana. Hold position. We're on our way.
Yeah, but that's kind of referred to as John's superpower, is he's extremely light. Okay, so yeah, the Forerunners were initially going to be humans. Okay. Which is interesting, because that's a really good, like, twist, because it's so ironic. I don't really mind the Forerunners being a separate race that much, but it would have been more interesting. But I do like the irony that the Covenant were trying to... Because I think what initially happened is the Covenant didn't invite humanity because the prophets figured out that the whole religion was a lie, and that the Forerunners were humans, and because of that, they're like, oh, we can't let this shit get out. We're gonna have to kill all the humans.
Interesting. The weather patterns here seem natural, not artificial. I wonder if the ring's environment systems are malfunctioning. Or if the design... wanted the installation to have inclement weather.
So the funny thing about the prophets is they're supposed to be ironically named.
Cortana to fire team
So like, Truth was I think the one who figured out that humans are their gods. And then Regret never showed regret for anything, and Mercy was known for how brutal he was. And that like it's I think a thing that like their names are all supposed to be ironic. The Arbiter is also a massive chat. The fact that he's voiced by Keith David like automatically makes him a chat, but yeah, I love Keith David. Well, guys, I think that's gone on long enough for the evening. I just want to thank everybody for coming out. I had a ton of fun. I'll definitely be doing another stream of Combat Evolved soon. So stay safe, everybody. Look out for those koofers, and I'll talk to you all again real soon. God bless.